Welcome back to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We're brought to you by Pelican, built tough for all situations. Go to pelican.com. Yak Gadget, for all your fine kayak fishing accessory needs. Go to yakgadget.com. Eastport Marina, on the beautiful shores of Dale Hollow Lake. For all your lodging, kayaking, and fishing needs, go to eastport.info.
Now let's get this show started.
All right, boys and girls, welcome once again to the Bass Kayaking Beers podcast. As always, this is your boy Armondo. We're doing things a little bit different. We're live at ICAST. This show is also going to be aired on YouTube schedule on Tuesday on Paddle and Fin Network. You can also check it out at Waypoint or your favorite podcast streaming platform. With me today is Fred Contay. He is the mastermind, the mad scientist behind designing some of the best rods in the world. Fly fishing and bass fishing. They're my sponsor for my podcast. I'm super proud to be associated with Douglas. And we got Fred Contay. Fred, how are you?
I'm good, and we're happy to have you. You're great. You help us out a ton. So
I appreciate it. Yeah, you guys have a great product. I love your rods. I always say when people ask me what do you love about it, my hookup ratio has gone up when I do quality rod like this rod. It could be that I'm getting better at it, right? But really, Fred, before we dive into your rod design and everything, how you got into fishing and what inspired you to design rods?
So I've been in the fishing business really my whole life. I was fortunate to grow up with some of the early salmon and steelhead people on the West Coast, and then I knew a fellow by the name of Don Lee, who was the main salesman of Ranger Boats to Japan. And that was a big deal for that early West Coast. So I've just been around it my whole life. Been doing shows for in excess of 40 years now. And, just a ton of fun. Just people, and that's really my desire is to make stuff for people and then see the smiles on their faces or hear the stories. That's what drives me, for sure.
And one of the things that I've noticed walking around with the Douglas jersey, Douglas hat, I get stopped. I mean, I'm stopped half a dozen times the last 3 days. People ask me, "Where's Fred Contay?" So you know Fred Contay. Yeah, thank God you're a good guy. Because I don't know, I might have been shot by him. But no, it speaks out to, this is a guy, Fred, who doesn't have a social media following, who doesn't do Reels, doesn't do TikTok. But people see the name of Douglas and they think, "Where's Fred? We love Fred. I want to say hi to Fred. Is Fred here?" And it speaks to you as a person. You're one-on-one.
Yeah, well, I think that's our, some of our best traits is that just being open and remembering people, remembering stories or things that they've done in their lives. And, yeah, just connecting with people. I love people. So it's been a good ride for that, for sure.
And what got you now into designing rods? And what do you love most about designing rods?
What I love most in my inspiration? Well, perfection for one. I would feel like trying to make rods or any kind of equipment for people who make them that actually fit. So there's some elements in design that sort of inspire the final product. It's not, I don't really have just standard lengths and weights. There's a lot of, most of the rods really look the same, but it's when you actually fish them, and they really feel kind of similar in a store. Some are heavier, some are lighter. Once you fish a rod, that's when you can really tell. So in the case of, let's just say, a chatterbait rod, like
I love that's one of your favorites. My favorite thing.
So let's just say in a chatterbait rod and the elements of design, one of the main things, the first thing is whatever the technique is. In this case, it's a chatterbait. Is the ability to cast it. So it's got to be maximum length. And then once you engage that reel and start fishing it, it sinks to the bottom, and then you start winding it. It's got to have the right tip action in order to read the blade or crash or whatever. Then when the fish strikes it, in almost all the cases of bass fishing, they inhale it. And sometimes, you swipe at it or whatever. Most of the time, their mouth is open and they're eating it. And in this case, if the rod is too stiff, a lot of times they start to pull and they feel it and they're spit it out quick. So it's almost like a crankbait bite. They pull it in, and they close their mouth, and you start to wind on them. Some people set the hook, and some people really like a fast rod. Different cases. But for the most part, softer tip rod, more progressive actions. You get the bite, you get the hook into it. And then the next element is for that, and the final element is fighting the fish to the boat. And so that's really important as well. Does it bring the fish in and not be too stiff when they jump, et cetera, et cetera. Well, in the case of a jig or Texas ring worm, we wouldn't use a soft rod. We need to feel every little rod. We need to pull it without it bending the rod and popping it forward. It needs to have that right feel, but when that fish picks that jig up, you need to drill it, right? So every technique, different lengths, different weights, different configurations, it all makes sense at the end of the day, whatever your fishing technique would be.
Yeah, and one of the things that I really respect about you, Fred, is as I've gotten to know you and know from this rod, you don't compromise your quality. One of the things that we were all looking forward was the new rod that are coming up for Douglas. And we thought, okay, that we're going to come in and we're going to, show them at ICAST. That didn't happen. When I asked him what happened with the new rods, it's like, Fred is very, very specific. And when he designed the rods, taken to production, the rods came back, he's like, that is not down like I wanted. I am not going to put this product out there until it is perfect, just like I designed it. And I respect that. Anybody else will think, oh, we just invested it. Let's just put it out there and see how it happens. You like, no, this needs to be what I designed it for, and it needs to be to my specification that I expect perfection out of myself. What drives you to that? I mean, what I guess drives you to excel for perfection when it comes to rod design?
But when we all go fishing, the main goal is to throw a hook out there full of fish and bring it in. The camaraderie, all that goes along with it. But particularly in competitive bass fishing, you really need to land those fish. And so that's a big part of all the things, the length, weights, everything working together and having a full quiver of rods, not just a few rods that kind of work for this and kind of work for that. Really a wide breadth of rods that allows the angler really to fish any technique, but fish it well.
For a lot of people, especially during tournaments, this is not just a day on the water, it is money on the line. If you don't have the right equipment, you lose money. So you got to invest money to get money.
That's true. So whether you're kayak fishing or boat fishing, when you blast off in the morning, you have Mother Nature, you have time management, you have your equipment, whatever you're pedaling your boat or batteries or engine, etc., electronics, all has to work. Some of the things we fall down on are rods, reels, line, hooks, all of that. That's kind of like the icing on the cake. For all of the other stuff we do, making good decisions, going places, but those all work in concert together. So too stiff a rod, pull right lines, or too soft a rod, not getting the hook into them, having a line that's not appropriate. So all of those things come in concert. But I think of the more important things, and not over important over any of the other things, line, reel, hook, bait, etc. It's just one of those four things that all has to work together.
What's been the favorite project? Like, what's been the rod that you're most proud of designing?
So of all time, there's a couple of them. We built a rod, 7116F. It's a long 4-grit swim bait for baits up to slide swimmer or depth 250. Being from California, Clear Lake, and the Delta, places like that, Trinity, big swim bait country. And most of the earlier swim bait rods were heavy salmon rods. And in most cases, they're too stiff for those baits. Those are just a giant crankbait. My thing. Two trouble. It's a big crankbait. So if the rod is too stiff, it doesn't cast it well. It actually, that bait will helicopter through the air. If you get that right balance of bend, loading, going, that bait will just kind of slither on its way out. So that's when you know you have the perfect casting. And then once you get that kick, because they don't jerk the rod out. You have to have a really good bend in their rod, like a crankbait rod. So it's got to be a little softer. So that actually, I think of all time, having a nice lightweight, but very responsive rod for that technique was one of my favorite rods. And then over the last 4 years, worked with a couple of guys, Gary Collins and John Pearl. And I believe John is my so over that course of 4 years, we made a 7'6" 3-power modern fast action, just a treble hook ring, whether it be a rock crawler or a wiggle board or even a light shaking handle. That's really a treble hook bait rod, but that excels for that practical plus block. But when it comes to the rattle bait, oh my gosh, right? It keeps fish in, casts well. So that's a fun 763 at that casting.
And one of the things that I love about the Douglas website, it simplifies. Like for those that are novice onto fishing, you're like, well, what rod do I use? You go to this Douglas website, and it'll give you all the bullets. Like this rod excels at this. This rod is great for this, and it's kind of like easy to follow and figure out what is the rod that I want to use for my specific setup that I want to try with it, because I'm fishing on a lake that I love, or that's because it's my favorite properties making. One thing that I like about speaking with just a professional like you are was that whole thing about your bait is helicoptering in, you got the wrong rod. There's something that not everybody knows, right? And not knowledge that is not shared commonly. But for those out there listening, that's one quick tip. If you're on a swim bait and that swim bait is helicoptering, maybe, just maybe, you don't got the right rod with you. And again, the expertise that you bring from your experience really translates into your rod designing. That is what I think Douglas rod is just head and shoulders above most of the competitions, not all of them. Um, what is? I know there's a new lineup coming up, and I don't know how specific we can go into it. This hasn't been released yet. But what are you most looking forward to? People should be looking forward about the new lineup that's coming up.
So within the next, by next spring, we'll have 725 XF spinning rod, which has been something people have been asking for a while. So a 5-power spinning rod, extra fast action. So pulling fish out of weeds, and, 5 kind of power shot with the spinning rod and other things, etc. So that's one that's coming up. And then with a bunch of the swim-bait rods, people are having a hard time getting those now because the shipping is so expensive. So we come out, we'll have retractable rods in some cases, and then removable handles, barrel within the handle. So those are some things to be on the horizon. And quite frankly, for storage and moving around and things like that, also.
And that's a big thing that I noticed when we met on Friday. You were telling me about the new handles, and for those kayak anglers, I know most of you that listen to my show or watch my show on YouTube. I'm a kayak angler at heart. Some of you just a kayak angler at heart, just like me. The fact that you can take an 8-foot rod and now either remove or retract the handle for transportation makes it a lot easier for going to tournaments or storing on your kayak, whether it's vertical or horizontal. Just having the ability to do that. Not every rod company does that, and that's huge when it comes to kayak fishing. Like myself, having that opportunity to do that.
There's a lot of moving parts with the kayak. I mean,
yeah.
You just don't have rod lockers so you can put everything away, and everything's got to go back in the car or truck, right? So yeah, that does help. And I think also, and I'm not sure if you agree with this, but I've noticed a trend in kayak fishermen in the choice of rods. It seems like the people that I kind of like really rely on for information, they're going longer and longer and longer with their rods. Age, be able to bass in many cases, not like skipping or anything, but actually casting. So those interesting lengths, 7-8, 7-10, those longer rods make sense for a lot of things you guys are doing these days.
Yeah, with the kayak fishing industry and community growing, a lot of new, bigger kayak fishing models are coming out. And I think a lot of the kayak anglers are starting to lean more on like longer rods. It's that same thing when that fish comes around the front and you have to switch sides. They want that long rod instead of like that 7 foot, 6.5. And again, that's all preference, but I've noticed that trend more and more with kayak fishing. So, Fred, thank you so much for taking the time, man.
Thanks.
I know it's been a
Always fun
long
with
week with you here.
You missed out on a good one.
I know, man.
I'm sorry everybody delayed, but
You good.
you know how it goes.
I can see we got some fans here who wanted to talk to you, so I'll let you go, Fred. Thank you so much, man.
Appreciate it.
Take care. Last guy beers goes to my sponsor, Douglas Outdoors. DouglasOutdoors.com. Check out the full lineup of LRS, X Matrix, and award-winning fly fishing rods. Have a great day, everyone. Peace out.
Hi. How are you? Alive. Yeah, I know. I see that. That's good.
I'm still relevant.
Welcome back to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We're brought to you by Pelican, built tough for all situations. Go to pelican.com. Yak Gadget, for all your fine kayak fishing accessory needs. Go to yakgadget.com. Eastport Marina, on the beautiful shores of Dale Hollow Lake, for all your lodging, kayaking, and fishing needs. Go to eastport.info.
Now let's get this show started.
Just started going to the outro. I don't know what